My name is Jackie Kellogg. I wear a few hats in this community. My home, Key Biscayne. I actually grew up here, and I see a few people in the audience that I think I've probably known since I was 6 years old, which is so awesome about Key Biscayne, right? My kids, like myself, attended and are attending Coral Gables Senior High School, and I am actually the PTSA president. And I'm having a great time. And the more I talk about Gables, the more people like Lily Warner, who's on our Education Advisory Board, said, you should come on and talk to Key Biscayne, come out to Key Biscayne and talk about Gables. And so I brought my friend Bill Stevens and our two outstanding teachers from Gables. I'll let them introduce themselves. So I'm just gonna pass the microphone this way, and we're just gonna let this grow organically with your questions.
I'm Bill Stevens. I'm a parent of a Gables student who is in the NAF program, the National Academy of Finance. We'll talk about that in a second. If you're interested in having your kid being financially literate when he graduates high school, this may be a program for you.
I've actually had 3 children in the International Baccalaureate program, and my third is a junior right now.
Hey guys, my name is Oscar Diarmas. I teach social studies in the IB program, the International Baccalaureate program she's talking about. I speak really quickly, so I want to apologize if you can't understand what I'm saying. We can go on at length about the benefits of the different programs that exist, but just the basics. And I have no idea, this is like kind of unscripted. My wife and I, we've been teaching for about 6 years. This is Elizabeth Kaiwa, she'll introduce herself in a second. And I'd argue the best part about Gables, especially if you can get into the IB program there, is that you can get college credit, about 30 credits if you go to a state school, which is a whole year shed off. It's incredible. They get a lot of college preparation. In my class, at least, they'll be writing papers. I get emails every day from my students saying, Mr. D, if it wasn't for you, I couldn't have survived college. So we'll talk more about a lot of the benefits at Gables in this meeting.
Hi, Elizabeth Kiley. I teach chemistry, IB chemistry, which is within the International Baccalaureate Magnet, and pre-IB, which is the chemistry that all students have to take. So that would be for 9th and 10th graders. However, prior to teaching only within the IB Magnet, we both did teach outside. So we are also familiar with the other academies and types of courses available at Gables. So we definitely have input for IB Academy, but also academies outside of that.
Hello, my name is Ella Londano. I'm a sophomore, and I'm an IB, and Ms. Kelly is also my teacher this year again for chem.
Hi, my name is Emma Hardy. I'm also a 10th grader in the International Baccalaureate program, and we all chose to go to George Washington Carver, which is a middle school and a magnet, and we all chose to be involved in the school like a different way. For example, I'm the president of the Best Buddies program. Ella is the...
Oh, I'm in the Gables Earth Club, which is like our environmental club.
And Lauren is...
I'm also in Gables Earth and Model United Nations, so
Cool.
You guys can talk to me about that. And I'm Lauren Gregorio. I'm also a sophomore in Coral Gables Senior High.
So, since we're all from Key Biscayne, we all got to grow up in this small community of really great people, with our middle schools and our elementary schools. But I want to talk about why Gables was such a good choice for high school, when I was deciding in middle school where I wanted to go. The most important thing that I got to get from Gables was the really diverse community and all the different people that I got to meet there. And well, first of all, I got to meet a lot of new friends that I wouldn't have met if I kind of stayed in my bubble. Getting to meet all these different kinds of people was kind of real college preparation almost, and that's what everyone is trying to learn in high school, how to be ready for college. And when I go to a place with a lot of people that I don't know, all the experience that I'll have from going to Gables, it helps out in real life situations when you don't know everyone there, you don't know where everyone comes from. It's just, you learn how to relate to a lot of new groups of people, It's very, people from all over Miami that I get to meet and go to school and work with, and it's just something that's it's something that you get from going to like this specific school, because it's like a homeschool for a lot of different
Lots of parts of
like, so yeah, like the diversity was like a really big thing, and it also like it drew me to that school, and it also like drew my mom, like she really liked it because of that too. So yeah, like the student community there is like really nice and like very particular to the school.
Gables gives students the opportunity to graduate with like an IB diploma, which opens doors to like many top universities. For example, last year many students went to Ivy Leagues, and also since it's like the International Baccalaureate, many went to colleges in Europe, which is like a really cool experience. And also, I would like to briefly talk about activities, which is there's two ways of being in activities. Like you could be elected by like you can be in the student government, or you can choose it as an elective. And I participated in it because I'm like part of the student board of my class. But through activities, you have the opportunity to influence and like shape your own experience in high school. And the students and activities, we organized field trips, celebrations, homecoming, which was last weekend, prom, fundraisers, club fairs, and etc. And we not only organize, but we implement and like execute our ideas. And thank you for listening.
Okay. I'm here to talk to you about like the vast amount of clubs Gables offers. I believe it's really important to find your niche and haven with other students who enjoy similar activities, because that's what really high school is about. They offer so many opportunities to obtain community service hours and that are needed to graduate high school, and they expose you to so many different out-of-school activities, such as conferences in different universities for like all the United Nations. There's a club for everyone and everything, with over 30 clubs that cater to artists, with the art club, athletes, writers, with the National English Honor Society and Creative Writing Club. Aspiring scientists with the Science Fair Club, Gables Earth, which Ms. Kylie's a sponsor, and it's amazing. I'll talk to you about that a bit later. And doctors, there's a new medical club, and aspiring gamers. Who knows, you might end up in Silicon Valley. So you have the Wizards Club, which is sponsored by Mr. DeArvis. But the list just goes on and on. But one of the key elements of high school is being a part of a loving community, and that can be found in clubs. So Ella and I are both part of Gables Earth, and it has been so much fun. We get to organize beach cleanups, get speakers from all over Miami-Dade County just to come over and talk about the environment, and it's a really great opportunity. So there really is anything out there for everyone. There's everything.
That's true.
So I'm in JRTC, Army. Woo! It's a leadership program based in the military. It's not like, no, it's not binding. It's completely cadet run, so student run. The instructors are just there for structure. And honestly, like it wasn't my first choice. Like I was in middle school and I wasn't like, oh my god, JRTC. Like no, it was me seeing the subject selection sheet and seeing how many things I could choose from and being really confused. And my best friend was like, let's do it. And I was like, oh, I mean, I guess. So here I am, third year, JRTC. And it's honestly great. Like I'm super involved in the school. I have a bunch of friends outside of IB, which is like not a super common thing for IB kids in specific. I have a bunch of friends outside of the program. My best friend is actually a senior in outside IB. It's super involving in the community, in the school. Yesterday we just came back from a field trip where we went to Miami-Dade Honors for a Veterans Day commemoration event. And there's just so many things that the school itself provides for JRTC. So we compete locally, statewide, and nationally. This is going to be our third year doing national competition for drill. And it's just so involving, and my high school experience wouldn't be the same. Like every day I do something related to JRTC and a little bit different. But
would you talk about the options you had of leaving and you didn't because of?
I got accepted into Mass Maritime, which is like obviously right there, and it was something I died. It was
agony.
It was 3 days of like, am I leaving? Am I going? I thought I was gonna leave for a while, and then I realized that I went to talk with the counselor over there, my counselor. I considered my options, and I realized that Gables IB combined with the JRTC program and all the opportunities, and just like honestly, just Gables IB is like phenomenal, absolutely incredible. There's so many things that comes from
the IB and the different activities throughout the school, within IB and within just the school itself. So I thought, why not, like, why am I gonna change everything when I have a beautiful, like, setup right here, right where I am? And it's basically where I'm at right now. Yeah.
What is your class? ROTC?
Army Junior Reserve Officer Training Course. So it's like a leadership program. And basically the cadets, the students, we're in charge of everything. We run our own field trips, we set up our uniforms, we are in charge of the classes. And obviously we have instructors there, so like it's not like ramped up, like it has structure. But this is like a nationally recognized leadership program. And MAST has one as well, but it's less developed.
I'd say she's focusing on the JROTC program within Gables, but I would say, I mean, it's just one extracurricular / elective within the whole selection of offerings the school has. So, you know, she has, I think, maxed out the JROTC because she's in the leadership. She's started since freshman year and has participated in all the competitions and all of that, which, you know, it's not mandatory by any means, and has managed to sort of weave it into her academics as well. And I find that she's had a really cool sort of exposure to not only the 4 years, what do you call it, the 4-year?
The 4 grade levels,
The
but
4
also
grade levels, but also,
all the academies
Right.
throughout the school itself.
so she pretty much knows somebody everywhere in the school, which, you know, I don't know if that's very common.
You know, they bring students into our room from all the different high schools all the time, right? So I've got a little spiel that I tell the middle schoolers when they visit. You guys want to hear it real quick? Because it kind of summarizes a lot of the key points to sell Gables. So, and remember, I talk really fast, I'm sorry. First of all, I want to thank all of you guys for even considering public schools. You know, we definitely need people to, I mean, MAST Academy is fantastic. If you're thinking about MAST, Terra, Reef, Gables, you know, these are fantastic schools. New World, you know, Dash. These schools in our city are phenomenal, and they compete with the best. Gables last year, just some examples. I think they touched on it when they talked about international students. You know that nerdy club she talked about, Wizards? My Archmage, the president of my club, he's right now studying in the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, okay? Last year, one of my students got into MIT, all right? That's like one of the best schools in the whole world, not just the United States. We've gotten a kid into every single Ivy League. I want to say at least, you know, I can say the top 15 schools, probably one student in each one. The kids, by the junior and senior year, and I'm talking more about the IB program kids and of course those that are doing AP and honors classes too, they get such deep insight and understanding on doing college tours and talking to each other, on kind of coordinating and helping each other with like really great college essays and writing, that they understand the landscape of how competitive it is out there in the United States today and in the world, right? Because you're not just competing with kids that are leaving Los Angeles and New York City and Philadelphia to go to the best schools in the country. Now you're fighting against kids that are studying in Shanghai, you know, in Madrid, in Paris, and they're trying to get into some of the best schools in this country. And Gables is the cream of the crop, and it doesn't cost a dime. I'm talking about Ransom, Gulliver level, you know, these like $40,000 tuition schools. And these kids, when they're talking about activities and what a family it is, I really mean it. Like, we take care of each other. When you visit the school, if you actually go inside, you're gonna think at first, like, did a bomb drop here? Like, what's going on? Aesthetically, it's not the most beautiful school, and right now it's under construction. We have like a $30 million bond over the next 4 years. We'll talk about that. Now, why Gables over other great public schools in our city? Gables is the oldest IB program. It has 5 other fantastic academies. We offer every single sport you can play. We have an 8-period day. That means that if you're a student here, you're probably thinking, wait a second, 8 classes instead of 6, do I really want that? But the truth is, with 8 periods, which is 4 classes every single day on a block schedule, like odd and even, you have more chances for electives, you have more opportunities for different kinds of classes. We offer everything under the sun: journalism, yearbook, cooking classes, childcare, weight training classes, everything. And that's just during the day. Like you heard, we have every single sport, tons of different clubs. And so Gables is the kind of place that if you really understand the lay of the land and know how to maximize, you can do anything. And we've got kids that have written incredible personal statements. We have kids that are nominated every single year for the Silver Knight Awards and for all these different awards across the city. It's fantastic. And one last thing before I kind of pass it along for other ideas. The 30 credits we're talking about for like the IB program, or if you max out doing AP and honors classes, how does that benefit your child in the future when they're going to most of the time it's a state school in the country? It's not as simple as one less year, because I always tell my students, you want to be in college, it's a fantastic experience. If you survive the IB program, and 85% of our students do, 85% pass, okay? Which means if you get in, you've probably got a great chance so long as you keep up with the rigor of the program. If you survive it, you'll be able to get those 30 credits. You can take those 4 years and have one less class per semester instead of having one less year, which means while you're in college, college is a little bit less stressful. You can do more intramural sports. You can study abroad, okay? A lot of my students, I teach history, right? So I always tell them, like, my class, you won't understand how valuable it is until you begin traveling. Right now, Caro can list you. First of all, she just wrote a paper 3 weeks ago. It was brutal and it was amazing for her, right? And
It was actually really fun.
It was a fantastic paper. 2,000-word paper. She got a personalized email from me, long, direct as how to improve it. She'll be finishing the product in December. Right now, she's studying the Chinese Civil War. I could have her name right now, 6 people you've never heard of before. Do you want to do it right now, Sean?
No, I don't.
No? Okay. And that's the level of rigor. I mean, it's a tough school, but it's fantastic. And chemistry, a hard lit class. I mean, any chemistry at the college level for these 16 and 17-year-olds, it's very abstract, but I can't sell enough. The faculty is incredible, and we're just 2 of 180 people that are really qualified to be there. Liz has a master's. She studied in Tübingen in Germany, okay? She got a master's degree there. I went to Emory Law after going to UF in undergrad. We've both been in the private sector before we were teachers, and we love Gables, and we can train our kids. You want to go and you want to be an accountant? Here's how you do it. You want to be a lawyer? Here's how you do it. You want to go into IT? Here's how you do it. It's not as simple as just teachers that are going to pass you along to college, okay?
Don't love to talk about myself, but I'm going to do it because it might give you an idea of what he's saying regarding the family approach there and the dedication that we have. He didn't want to say it, but actually what Oscar is a lawyer. He graduated with his JD from Emory. I graduated with my master's in neuroscience. I worked in a hospital in Germany for many years. None of us had the idea that we were going to go into education. We made that choice later, out of passion, entirely out of passion. We do not get paid what we got paid before. We don't. You know that. You know that very well. It's not our priority, clearly. By the way, we're doing fine. We don't need donations. We're doing really fine. But the priority wasn't that. We went into education, and specifically public education, with the passion to spread what we feel is so important, knowledge. And knowledge should come free. It's the right of your child to be given knowledge and to be given it with engagement and with dedication, and not have to beg for it or pay for it. And that's what we try to offer at Gables. We have people that are committed, people who came from many, especially now the transition with becoming a teacher is no longer that you must have come from an education program. You can just be, it needs to be that you have a bachelor's, and unfortunately, in some cases, sometimes they just want a pulse. But at Gables, I'll tell you, yeah, you just want a pulse, but at Gables, I'll tell you that our administration is pretty serious about who they want in there. They want people that sure are gonna teach the subject, but are also gonna put their effort in engaging the students. It's no longer the time anymore with how technology works, where you have to listen to the lecturer like we all did. They won't listen to you.
They have a phone.
They have a phone that can tell them that way quicker,
In 4
with
minutes.
many more colors.
Yeah.
And somewhat hotter, most likely.
Yeah.
So they definitely don't need you anymore. We try to bring in people who are engaging, who are gonna stimulate them to wanna come. I have zero idea, these 2 right here, I had them in 9th grade. I thought that was enough to scare them. They came back and they signed up for IB chemistry. So they're advanced and they're already taking what would be normally a junior level class. I have no idea what really drove them to want to stay there, but I am so happy they did, and they're excelling. They're doing extremely well. They are. I won't say it's that it's easy, and they won't tell you that it's easy, but we work with each other. This isn't me being the person on the platform and telling them what to do. I listen to them, and I'll say the same for my husband and for most of my colleagues. We listen, and we give feedback, and if something needs to change on our part, then it changes. As far as that 8-block schedule goes, it does seem overwhelming at first, but it opens the door for so many opportunities. Yes, electives, but also taking up 2 to 3 more classes in a field that a student likes. I'll speak on STEM, of course, because I'm a chemistry teacher. I have students that end up, instead of taking something like ceramics, take biology in addition to chemistry, or they take biology, chemistry, and physics. So they just start getting under their belt more core classes to take up their elective space, which they wouldn't have been able to take if they only had a 6-class schedule. So having the 8 classes really opens doors for them to take electives and to also take other academic core classes that they originally wouldn't have been able to take. Some of them take it to test in it and maybe get that credit for college. Some of them take it for fun. It's what they're interested in, or I'll be really honest, a lot of them take these classes because they hear good things about the teacher. And they're like, all right, I'm gonna take that class. I wanna take Mr. Dunn's dual enrollment political theory. I don't know what it is.
Dunn's great.
But the man is a genius. And the kids get a try, and he's almost retiring.
He retires this
So it's not that there's just young Jen no, they just love listening to this man ramble on about his knowledge. They love it. And I wish I was in that class, I do. And then as far as the after school goes, he mentioned it. I want to mention Wizards, his club, a little bit more. Wizards is dedicated to gaming, so that can be board gaming, it can be video gaming, computer coding. It can also be within pop culture with like movies or anime and things like that. And what I want to specify about that club is outside of, yes, what a great interest, it gives kids a home that aren't the jocks, that don't have the sports to rely on, who used to feel a little bit outside. Now they have somewhere they go. Gables gives that home in so many different ways. Best Buddies, which Lauren was talking about, is, I don't know if you've heard of Best Buddies, it's international. Best Buddies works with students that are in our SPED program and students that have different forms of handicaps, and pairs them up with a buddy since freshman year, who shows them the ropes of Gables, brings them to homecoming, takes them to the trip that we take to Disney or Busch Gardens, helps them incorporate in the school and have the highest quality of life that they deserve. We really try to offer home away from home, because it's really a changing world where, unfortunately, where technology can be fantastic, it also opens doors to dark places. Isolation,
Yeah.
Loneliness. They can be around 1 million people and still feel lonely.
But Gables,
We see it.
there's less of that.
We're with your kids more than you are for those 4 years. We see a lot. We need to make school change a little now, because school is a second home to them, and it needs to feel like one and not feel like a jail cell.
I just wanted to say that all the teachers that I've had already, they're not just there to educate you and guide you and prepare you for the final exams or anything like that, but they really, truly care about you. They care about everything you do. If you look a little bit off that day, they'll ask you, how are you? Because the majority of teachers just rather make you feel good rather than just make you want to not want to learn anymore. And I think that's so important with this day and age. And I also wanted to add on, how it becomes a haven for people who aren't like jocks and stuff like that. I aspire to be a future politician and maybe one day, and Model UN, I have people who have the same interests as me, and it's really fun. And I didn't think I would have found some people like that who have those same interests as me. But anyways, Gables is super caring, and I think it's a really, really good school.
Yeah, as a former Gables parent, my son graduated in 2018. I can tell you, Gables has by far the biggest menu of advanced academic courses to choose from. And how do they do that? Well, there are over 3,000 kids there, so there's funding for 7 different academies. There's funding for 31 of 32 AP classes. Go to Gulliver or Ransom, they got maybe 16, 18 AP classes, 0 dual enrollment. There are a ton of dual enrollment classes here at Gables as well. So if you look at it, look past the brick and mortar, look at the menu of advanced academic options. And you don't have to really pick an academy necessarily. You can actually just go to the neighborhood school and sprinkle your curricula with AP classes, some dual enrollment. You can go IB, which is just like AP with a 2-point grade point average bump up, like AP, but it's a separate program and it's internationally recognized. My son's experience is and the beauty is, the Academy of Finance my son went into only has 2 classes a year. So what he did 2 classes a year, and he sprinkled with a ton of AP and dual enrollment classes. So what happened? He left Gables with 50 credit hours. He basically started UF as a second semester sophomore. So it really had a huge impact. And just this last week, I just got word he got accepted to the Masters in Information System Management program at UF.
Huge.
And so he's going to graduate. Since he had 50 credit hours from Gables, he's going to get his master's degree on top of his finance undergrad and his real estate minor in 4.5 years.
Wow. He
just has to spend 1 extra semester. What do I have to do with that extra money I'm saving? I don't know. I think my wife and I could go on a trip. But the beauty is, even if you do IB, you can still take accounting courses and financial literacy courses. And I'd highly recommend that, whatever academy you wind up in. They have 3 years of accounting classes. Here's another little trick. By taking these accounting classes, my son got 7 certifications: Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, Excel, Office, PowerPoint. Most importantly, QuickBooks. He went from a $9 an hour Starbucks high school employee to a $25 an hour online bookkeeper because of Gables and this certification.
It's huge.
You don't have to be in IB or the Academy of Finance to do this. Just take the accounting classes, accounting 1, 2, and 3. There's another class called Personal Financial Management. It teaches you about financial literacy. 95% of high school students cannot read an income statement. 99 can't read a balance sheet. And almost 100 don't understand the relationship between the two. If you go to Gables, you're going to have the area's only access to advanced financial literacy classes. And I'm telling you, as parents, kids don't understand the most important formula: income expense equals profit. And if you're not profitable, you're not going to be able to get assets and move forward financially in life. Gables gave my son the ability to do that through the accounting classes. Now, the academy he chose had some other good overlay features. He would access these financial classes, but he also got what's called NAVTRAC certification, which is a national program, and you go through, they have at Gables. And as a result of this, he gets priority hiring interview with all these top companies: Capital One, Cisco, Skadden Arps, AT&T. He had a summer internship in his junior year at KPMG. I mean, he was 16 years old basically, and he was working at KPMG in the summer as an internship. So why? Because he went to Gables. Gables has the most robust selection of financial literacy courses. And financial literacy is so important for kids. My daughter turned 18, like 10 credit card offers came in. No credit card offers. She knew to say no. My son said no and said debit card only. And both my kids are very financially literate, and my son especially so because he went to Gables and took the classes.
Was he part of FBLA also?
Yeah, he's FBLA. And
FBLA stands for Future Business Leaders of America.
They have competitions.
Tons of competitions. It's amazing.
Yeah. So keep in mind, you can choose an academy or not choose an academy. And if you choose an academy with 8-period block schedule, there's room to sprinkle in some of these financial literacy classes. And no other high school has it. Where am I going to get accounting 1, 2, and 3? And you're not. And I can't tell you how important it is to have your kid financially literate. I'm a big proponent of it. And Gables is uniquely positioned to give Key Biscayne kids that type of education.
And when he says dual enrollment, guys, that's a college level course.
Yeah.
When you go to college, if you got an A in a dual enrollment class, that means that your college GPA already will be a 4.0. You're starting out.
That was really, you need to join Friends of Gables.
Yes.
Yes.
He's not,
Honestly, that was a
technically
great
he's not an
spiel.
alum, but
Oh,
Okay,
well,
yeah.
You filmed that, right? We gotta just have
Yeah.
that segment.
Yeah.
Because that was really
financial
good.
literacy is the #1 problem in America, and there's one school that's gonna take care of it. You wanna chop down college tuition? Try to get 30 AP credits and 19 dual enrollment credits before you go to college. Only one place you can do it, not Dudley, not Ransom, Gables.
Go Cavs.
Go Cavs.
Oh
And the Bright Futures program, have you guys ever heard of the Bright Futures program here in
Oh.
Florida?
Oh,
Bright Futures program, I'm all over that. So get this.
Amazing.
I mean, like, it's $0 tuition. As long as your kid maintains a 3.5, zero tuition. You just gotta pay room and board and, beer pong balls. That's about it, right? No tuition.
It requires a certain SAT and
Yeah,
ACT score.
right.
Oh, yeah,
Over
that too, yeah. You had to get over that.
If your kid is not the greatest test taker, if they get the IB diploma, they get Bright Futures.
Right.
So there's two ways, right? If they're not going to
Yeah.
do IB, but they're a NAP or another program and they get a great SAT score, boom, Bright Futures. College is paid for. Look at that.
Yeah. But
That's
to-
amazing.
To maintain it, you gotta maintain a 3.5 in college.
Yeah, but
Different levels.
these kids that are at this level,
Yeah.
they can do that.
Yeah, they can. And the beauty of the dual enrollment, IB, you get a 2-point GPA bump up. So if I get a B, that averages a 5.0. But how do we get into a hard college? ACT or SAT, weighted grade point average, and class rank. Let me ask you, how hard is it to be in the top 10 of a graduating 10% of a graduating class at 70 at Ransom? Ooh, baby, tough. But if you're in the top 10% of 800 graduating class at Gables, you need to be in the top 80. So it's much easier to score in the top 10% of your graduating classes, which colleges typically look at, on top of weighted GPA, which Gables has a huge advantage. Why? Because the menu of AP, IB, and dual enrollment is second to none. Second to none. And that is a huge Gables advantage for getting into college.
And then writing a personal statement. How are you going to do that if you don't have all these different experiences? It's not easy for a 16, 17-year-old kid to think about what they're going to write about themselves and how they're going to stand out in this ocean of applications. But with all these different experiences at a place like Gables, you have a chance of writing something fantastic.
Another great advantage of Gables for us Key Biscayne residents, we live in bubble land, right? Let's face it, it's an American utopia, golf carts everywhere. The socioeconomic diversity at Gables is a huge, huge plus. My son played in the varsity basketball team, and one night every year they spent the night, get to know your teammates in the locker room, get them a sleeping bag. And they go around the table, what was your high point this year? Oh, we went to the water park in Delray. Okay, that sounds fun. What'd you do, Wim? I went on a 2-week cruise with my parents in the Caribbean. So you really got to relate to people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, and it really matured him very quickly as a person and as an empathetic, caring individual. So big advantage there.
Another thing that's because obviously all the academic opportunities and that part of Gables is also great, but one thing that I really noticed when I got to go to this school is it's almost kind of like the high school in the movies, because we just have so much school spirit that I don't see a lot of other schools in Miami. We have pep rallies and everyone is really involved in the club or the sport that they like, and it just feels it makes you want to go to school. It makes it the school is super student run.
Yes.
And a lot of my friends that go to different schools just don't have the same school spirit and love for their
And
mascot.
want to wear the Gables.
Want to wear the Gables stuff. You feel really proud to go to that school because everyone.
There's an accountability.
Yeah.
You're building this community yourself. It's not as simple as it's not one way. It's both ways. I consider some of my students to be colleagues.
Yeah.
I'm on the varsity soccer team, and every time we have a game in Gables, there's this one really amazing person, Al. And he pretty much blasts the music and says all of our names and just hypes everyone up. And I don't know if Mass has an Al or has that.
He's like a cult character. I don't even know how to explain Al. He's kind of like.
You just gotta go to Gables to find out for yourself.
Yeah.
But,
A cult character. Yeah.
yeah, but the sports also are really underestimated with the soccer team has no funding from public schools, and we still manage, and I just think it's underestimated because a lot of people just say, oh, I'm gonna go to a private school for sports, but you know, there's a public school right here, and just as much, like we play private schools,
And we're
Sometimes we
and
don't.
we're 5A, so we're actually at the top level.
Right.
It's not like you hear about, I mean, sorry, I love my peeps at Palmer Trinity. You hear you won states, but that's not like going to states at a 5A. You know, that's not the same. You're playing, this is a large public school. Our biggest competition, I think, for girls it's Lourdes, for boys it's Columbus. This year, it's gonna happen. And
The game is
also,
today, I think, right?
football.
Football games right now.
Let's check the score.
Football's gotten a little tricky. They've acquired a lot of our players. But
We're here to stop
but
that.
yeah, but soccer is huge. Our wrestling team is amazing because of the coach. It's incredible. And you know
Everything.
what I love? I love the fact that everyone gets behind badminton.
Yes.
Bowling.
Bowling got
Bowling.
huge.
I
We
mean-
have incredible golf. We have like this
Yeah.
amazing golf
Tennis.
team. Tennis. Because it's Coral Gables. It's loaded with tennis and golf. And what I like that Gables offers now that I didn't have when I went is you have this beautiful Merrick Park right next door. You guys have a whole socializing thing going on after school. You meet in your clubs. You go have croissant and coffee.
You can take the trolley down to Miracle Mile. Lots of our students work all around
Yeah,
Miracle Mile in
that's
different
true.
little shops. It's a great way to get. I mean, that looks good on your resume.
It
You know,
does.
you're accountable to someone. You weren't just a student. You were also a student, and you worked at Books and Books, or you worked at the local cafe. You met people in town. You were getting a paycheck. That's big.
Right, and I would say that the Coral Gables Community Foundation, it helps tremendously, it really supports the high school through scholarships, through community service hours. It's a big school, it's 3,500 plus schools, so it's a little bit different in that sense. And I'll just talk really quickly in school spirit, and then because I'm part of a new group called Friends of Gables. Since the school was built in 1950, we have a huge alumni, huge. And go Cavs, people love Gables. And there's a really great video on the Friends of Gables site, on the PTSA site that shows just a really wonderful collection of all our alumni, Hall of Fame players from sports to surgeons to just a whole array of incredible graduates. And the Friends of Gables has gotten behind, it's a group that is from Coral Gables, mostly alumni. They've gotten behind the school. They're supporting a lot of the construction projects that's going on. They're doing mini grants. They're just getting really behind the school that they love. So that's something unique as well. I believe that Gables is the second oldest public school, high school in Miami-Dade. And we're finally getting our huge renovation. It's a long time coming. But fortunately, they're preserving the main part of the school on Bird Road.
Yeah, Art Deco.
In the original Art Deco style. And then they're redoing the side on Riviera, which is probably the ugliest part, the oldest part. That's being completely torn down.
Getting a new two-story building.
And
yeah.
beautiful
New
two-story,
labs.
and becoming more energy efficient, which is really important. But one of the things I think that you were talking about that makes it feel like a traditional high school is the gymnasium and the auditorium. I mean, the gymnasium has water fountains that are made out of like 1-ton porcelain.
1952.
1950. It's amazing. The schools were built to be the gem of the city, and you feel that, with the history of everyone that passed through the hallways. So should we take some questions, or? Yeah.
So my son currently is a 9th grader and he's in math. And so math is very particular in 6th grade. It's not for everybody. Right now, the high school arena or whatever, I'm thinking, and so is he, that it's not the best fit for him. So with that, how would that go as far as like me taking him out, let's say after the 2nd semester and literally starting in the middle of the year? I mean, how does that work?
It happens all the time. This Gables is your feeder school, so there's no issue. You're going to Gables if that's what you want. Yeah. And so it's just.
In regards to what program keep getting in, like
You
How does
just,
that work?
you'll make an appointment with the counselor, with the administration, with the registration office. They can talk you through, because it's actually great he's in 9th grade, because even regardless of, right, IB or finance, you're still,
Starts at 11th, right?
Yeah.
IB begins in 11th. You have a couple of years.
Yeah.
And
So you
then
got
NAF is an option the entire time, depending upon the classes
Yeah.
your son picks. Well, you get into a pre-IB program freshman and sophomore year, which has a lot of AP classes imbued in it. But then really the IB program and the rigor of it really picks up your junior and senior year, where you're taking the core classes to be able to graduate with that IB diploma. Yeah.
And what is the difference between the Cambridge program and the IB program?
Cambridge is an older program that competes with the IB program.
Yes.
It is a fantastic program. It is not as, because it is a newer program that is run by the AP, I forget right now, is it Pearson or
AP
Caps?
Capstone,
Yeah. It is not yet as accepted by as many schools, but that is an increasing number. I predict that soon enough it will be equally accepted as, my understanding is, like another 30 credit program. I can't really speak on the differences because I teach the IB curriculum, but I've heard, pretty positive things about it. I've gone to a lot of education forums with folks that teach as part of the capstone program, but I would assume that it's significantly more AP-centric. And for sure, AP classes have a significantly lower passage rate. Passage rate for an AP class tends to be around 50%. For example, on our end, if a teacher hits a 50% passage rate for an AP class, they're doing a pretty good job. For IB classes, like IB history, the world average is around 80, I'm at the 90s, which I'm very proud of, but it's easier to pass an IB class, theoretically, to at least get a 4 out of 7 points, but it also is a lot more work in the front end. There's a lot more paper writing and a lot more work on the front end for you to pass that, whereas an AP test, you could be a fantastic test taker and not be the most, you don't have to be on top of your materials all throughout the year, and if you're a great test taker, you can still pass with a 3, 4, or 5 in AP. So I think it kind of depends on the kind of student that you are when it comes to
Cambridge program at Mast, it's a great program, but since it's a smaller school, it has a smaller menu of Cambridge classes to choose from than the IB program at Gables. It's all about the menu, folks. The biggest menu of if IB and Cambridge are considered the same, which has a bigger selection of courses in those programs? And Gables, in each instance, is by far. I think you have something like 35 IB classes.
Yeah.
The 31 of 32 AP classes offered. You're just not going to find this menu anywhere else in Dade County.
Part of the IB program is
Yes.
a language component.
Yes.
But you have to, like, if you don't know any French,
You can start from
Oh yeah,
scratch.
our
Yes.
French
Yes.
program, all of our language
French
programs are
is-
amazing. But man, I can sell the French program is
The
phenomenal.
French program's the best.
Yeah.
Madame Michel.
I'm sorry, what language do you have?
We have French, German, Spanish, Italian.
Yeah.
Italian's the fourth.
Yeah, we
But
lost
like
our Chinese
Harvard.
teacher. That was
We have
unfortunate.
Chinese,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Because me and Lauren don't speak French, but well, we learn it now.
Yeah.
We're in the French.
So they started from scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is in the IB program.
Yes,
That's an IB.
yes.
Yeah, these-
And
they-
but there's
they-
AP as well. If
Yeah.
you're not in the IB program, you can still take
Yeah.
French.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the teachers, and for Italian, there's an amazing teacher who really.
And if you're more language oriented, you can take many, multiple classes of language. Last year I took French and Italian, and right now I'm doing HL French, so I had to centralize. But last year I was doing 2 languages, and that was fun.
And then for those that are bilingual, for Spanish, we have lots of AP Lit, like higher level humanities Spanish classes too. You had a question, sir, in the back.
Like negative or?
I don't think so.
No, there's not really any competition. It just, I feel that each academy sort of has their own little
Cultural haven.
cultural, their haven, but
We're all together in AP classes. Anyone can take them.
Yeah.
Anyone can take an AP class regardless of the academy. So I'm only in because most of the APs that were in freshman and sophomore year, we're with everyone from
yeah, and
other
since we're in
academies.
pre-IB, we're still with everyone, so we still have friends from other academies,
Yeah.
and especially with the sports, it opens you up to not only IB students,
Yeah, clubs. Everyone is
interest-wide,
much,
it's just
yeah.
a separation of classes.
yeah.
And also for lunch when all the classes are together, it's not there's a whole IB section.
Yeah.
And I took a class childcare last year, and I was the only IB student in it, and they were all in the beginning they were iffy IB student, but then towards the end you talk to them and
Yeah.
you
it's
become friends.
At first I thought it was solely just the IB kids and everyone else, but it's so integrated and really amazing because it's not just I wouldn't want to just spend my entire time. I want to open up my eyes and see different kinds of people, you know.
Well,
so.
I mean, my daughter graduated in 2016. She was a Gablette dancer, and in 2015 they actually won state, like the best in the state. That's pretty awesome, right? And that team for her, she doesn't have sisters, 2 brothers. That team for her was her family, and it was 8th period, so that was great. So for 4 years, her 8th period was dance and Gablettes, and she was an IB student, and she also took theater as well. She didn't do the physics and the chemistry. She was a more creative person, and IB also allows you to have that track as well, more of a creative pathway. And but her Gablettes team, I think you'll feel like your soccer team, like your football team. These are kids from the whole school.
Yeah, all different academies, and some people aren't even in an academy. They just create their own curriculum based upon courses. Let me give you guys a little primer.
That's sort of right where the question I was going to ask. So I keep hearing academies, and I see these 5 in the back. So there's 7 academies then? So these 5 are academies, or?
Yeah.
I don't get.
Yeah, but they have their own curriculum. Some have 2 classes a year, like Academy of Finance. Some have 4 or 5, and then you sprinkle electives in between them. But you can also say, I don't want to join an academy. I just want to build my curriculum based upon AP, honors classes. I'll give you guys a quick primer on difference between AP, IB, honors, and dual enrollment.
So this is something you join, like let's say.
You pick an academy.
You'd apply
If
with
you want.
your counselor.
These IB and NAF are magnets, right? So you apply to them. You can, if you don't get in like through a transfer right away, you'll be placed in one of these academies, and then you talk to the counselor if you want to move, before your junior year. You'll be put on the pathway.
But to apply to the IB program, you have to apply by the magnet.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, do.
As well as the National Academy of Finance. Also what's nice about Gables too is that especially for Key Biscayne students, like Coral Gables students, this is your feeder school. If you decide by junior year, I don't want to do IB, like you take a path more like what Bill is describing. I want to take my different classes. You don't have to change high schools. Mast or Reef, you're out of there. You go back to your feeder school, or you have to go to private school. Gables, you can switch, which is very unique and special because that could be pretty traumatic.
Well, you can switch because it's our feeder
It's
school.
our feeder school, and also it's a school that has the 2 magnets, but it has the academies as well. It's not just a magnet-only school like Mast or
Mass is
Reef.
magnet only, right?
Yeah.
Now just so
Like you said, you can build also, you cannot do an academy.
right, and just build the classes via AP. Here's a little trick here. AP, 2-point grade point bump up. To get college credit, you needed 3, 4, or 5 on the AP test at the end.
Yeah.
IB, 2-point GPA bump up. You still need to pass the IB test to get college credit. Honors class, 1-point GPA bump up, no college credit. Dual enrollment, another little gem to sprinkle your electives through. You don't need to take a test. As long as you pass the course, you get college credit. Huge difference. Gables has the largest selection of dual enrollment classes. Not one single private school in Dade County offers dual enrollment classes because they're classes that are registered, the FIU classes that are in the state system.
I'll be teaching DE law next year, DE criminology and DE intro to crim law.
Yeah, that's a college course. He's
That's a
taking
college
it
course.
at school. My son took 19 credit hours of his 50 transfer for dual enrollment. He didn't have to take a test, and his GPA transferred.
It can be confusing.
The academy, you can see it as like a program that helps the child tailor towards a certain interest. But
Let me tell you, I find that to be phenomenal, actually. Because
It's
a lot of
nice,
people,
it is.
become adults and go to college and have no clue what they want to do.
Right.
So one of the things that I've noticed of what you guys are presenting here is that there seems to definitely be a focus and encouragement and, hey, like, you don't know what you want, you don't know what you like, let us help you out. And the capability of actually trying a couple different things and finally hitting one that really is for you.
Yeah.
I think continuing off of that, in IB specifically, you can choose from any of the academies electives. So for example, the health one has like a first aid elective, but as an IB student, you can choose to take that class, but you can also choose to take like theater or anything that suits your interest. So especially in IB, you can just choose what interests you, while in some of those specific academies, you might be more guided. Yeah.
And even within IB, you can still be, like what she said, you can be either a theater, more creative kid, you can take art, like an IB art, or you can be a STEM kid, or you can even be love languages and double up and take French and Spanish, or you know, whatever combination you like. Or there's psychology, there's business, there's IB business, so even within IB, you can still, you know,
But then
go your own way.
So who would be the counselor that, if I wanted to do an appointment, a one-on-one, that I would go and speak to so they can guide me?
The likeliness is because of, we have so many, it's just gonna be first, you come in and we're gonna figure out who's available to speak to you, the students, yeah.
Got it, and would you recommend, like, Lucas, my son, coming like with me, or?
Yeah, so he can take a look, absolutely, yeah.
It can be daunting though. It is a massive school and it's under construction, so you got to keep that in mind.
You coming through the Bird Road, that's the main entrance side, that's the Art Deco entrance, yeah. And you would just go, you would go into the right.
Yeah, I'd say the first 3 or 4 weeks of freshman year were, these are 4 tough girls. Yeah. Because,
You can take public transportation home, it's super easy.
Yeah.
It's like you cut through Merrick Park, you get on the metro, right
that's
there,
what we do.
bus home.
That's what we do, because she stays for practice every day, so she comes to Biscayne Metro, and I pick her up there.
Your traditional core, you must have an IB math, and within math, you have your options. Maybe you are very advanced in calculus, and maybe you're not, so you're gonna veer more towards what would be humanities, math-based statistics
There's
and whatnot.
4 different kinds of IB
Within
math.
science, you must choose at least one. You can choose more. In history, you're taking IB contemporary history.
Yeah. And that's also, it's modern 20th century history and also history of the Americas, which covers Latin American history and United States history.
So you have your math, your science, your English, and your history, your social studies. From there, they then choose a language and an elective. So those are 6 IB classes that you must test.
And you must test in.
Those are your 6 tests.
And also TOK, which is like it's an epistemology course, which is like a philosophy class in which you also write a paper. Of the electives we have is psychology, business, theater. What else is there, guys?
An additional science or an additional language?
Additional science, additional language. Yeah, it tends to, the popular ones tend to be generally, if you're not going to do language, business, theater, or psychology tend to be the more popular ones.
Or double science.
Yeah.
So that's 9 through 12.
You do most of those courses your junior and senior year. 9 and 10, you're doing mainly AP classes. That can be, at least in my department, human geography, European history, AP US history. A lot of the AP language classes, AP World.
The purpose of the pre-IB is if the student is coming in as a freshman and is identified as a candidate who could potentially be in IB by their junior year, then they're placed into pre-IB to already be on a path that prepares them in that way. So a pre-IB, for instance, pre-IB chemistry, that is really just supposed to be chemistry honors. But I would beg to say that a student in chemistry honors would not pass my pre-IB chemistry class because it's geared more towards the student learning how to prepare themselves for the IB science that they're going to have. So they are already seeing the teachers and the type of rigor that's going to be expected once they get a little older and are actually physically in the program.
It's a tough, I'm not going to downplay it. It's a tough program. We're talking lots of paper, right? I mean, these are tough papers. These are, some kids, they have to kind of pick themselves up because they've lived a whole life getting straight A's and they've never really been challenged at this level where they're not going to get necessarily straight A's anymore, right? But I think that everybody comes out of it and they email us all the time like, yo, college is a breeze. Like, I really, really appreciate what you did for us.
Academy, where my colleague is my friend, they're very rigorous. But if I were, as I want to be a parent, I want rigor for my child.
Yeah.
I want them to know what it is to work, and I want them to know it young. There's no reason for, I get a lot of tears, none from here, of course. And a lot of it is, I have a C. And I always say to them, but who did you the disservice of never giving you a C? You cannot go through elementary, middle, and high school straight A's. It's just not the way to be. You must fail. There are times you must fall, because where's your resiliency?
Yeah.
And you do build a lot of resiliency in Gables outside of the academic world. That resiliency comes in what we were saying here. It's a daunting place. It's huge. There's over 3,000 people in the building.
From all over Miami.
You have a large difference in diversity, and not everyone's used to that. And yeah, I'm gonna pick on Key Biscayne, definitely not.
Exactly.
There's entire hallways that don't
Yes.
speak English.
Yeah,
You gotta think
there's
of it like
entire
that.
hallways that don't speak English.
Yeah.
There's kids that, if I'm a parent, at first I'd be like, oh my goodness, oh, this is scary, but
Yeah.
they're really just kids.
Right.
They're really just kids, and I think it's wonderful for everyone to be there and get to know each other and get along, because that's the actual real world.
Yeah, it's a real life.
Your
It's
kids
real-
cannot
it's real Miami,
live
too.
in a bubble.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, outside
it's
the
all
bubble.
Miami.
I mean, I graduated in '86. It was the same. It's the same, honestly. It hasn't really
Yeah,
changed.
it is. I actually
Yeah.
graduated from there too. And as far as construction goes and all that, I hate the complaint. All of Miami's under construction.
Exactly.
You know why
What
it's
else
under
is new?
construction, Gables? Because it's trying to be better.
Yeah.
The construction
Yeah.
doesn't affect them much other than making them take different routes to classes.
And that just got fixed. We don't.
And that just got fixed, yeah.
It got opened again.
Yeah, they finally opened it up this week. It feels great,
So I
honestly.
found my question.
No, please.
So, okay, let's be honest. Let's say my kid is not an IB, a magnet.
No problem.
You know, because I'm hearing all these things and it's exciting and I love it, but he might not. So can he still have very successful educational career in English?
Absolutely.
Sure. He can take AP classes, dual enrollment classes, the core classes he needs to take for the state, math, science, social studies, he takes those. He can take the IB or if he doesn't do IB, the AP version or honors version. The menu, it's all about the
It's
menu.
important
The
that they
average
challenge
student
themselves.
can also be very
Absolutely.
successful.
Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
but I'd say this, and there's some truth. It comes from the kid. That you can easily put your head down in some of the classes that are not the honors in the AP. You could coast and have a very easy high school experience. And there's plenty of classes that the kids know about that are not going to be as rigorous. And if the kid has the aptitude and wants to be challenged, it's there. But they have to be a little bit louder, especially if they're not going to be in one of these magnets. And you have to be a little bit on top of things. If you're not checking the parent portal every week to see your kids, then there's already an issue there.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna be all over that. You're gonna be a great hawk.
I know.
No, but it comes from home.
Because-
When I taught regular classes, so outside of any of the magnet classes, that wasn't easy. I had half of the class they just wouldn't even turn in a paper. You're talking about, okay, but put your name on it. Nah. But why? I mean, you're disrespecting me. No, I like you. I just don't do work, miss. They don't take off their book bag. But you
Yeah.
know what? That kid also doesn't go home to parents. And he takes care of his sister,
Yeah,
who is disabled. And he doesn't like closing. We do meditation sometimes. He told me, I can't close my eyes. I don't trust anybody. That happens.
there is that
And
too.
then next to him was a student who had just arrived from Cuba, didn't speak a word of English. I speak Spanish, but I tried not to. He just went to Stanford.
Oh, well.
And he was in my regular chemistry class with the same, I was on the atom the whole year. I didn't move on because that wasn't my purpose. My purpose was
I
teaching.
just wanted to make sure that the opportunities.
The
It's there.
opportunity's there,
It's there,
but like
but
he
the biggest
said,
menu of any
it
school.
comes
Yeah.
from the kid.
If the kid is not going to apply
That
themselves,
kid-
they can easily.
That
I'm
kid
just being real
wanted
with
to
you.
learn
They
English.
can
That
easily
kid
be washed
pushed
aside.
To learn English, that kid pushed himself through these AP to the point where he could then take AP and honors classes. He never joined the magnet.
I had a kid that was in my 10th grade ESOL class, didn't know a lick of English. Went into MDC honors, had learned English by senior year, and just lateraled to Georgetown. Came from Cuba when he was in 10th grade, didn't know a lick of English.
Yeah.
The kid applied himself. He knew what he was doing and he knew why he was here. And I've got lots of kids that their parents are on them, but they're just in class and they're obsessed with the vanity of the phone, taking selfies all day, and I'm gonna lose
Which
this
happens
kid.
in the magnets too.
I'm gonna lose this kid. You know what I mean? But like, it just depends. A lot of it, we can only do so much. I see him for 2 hours, and I see him for an hour and a half, 2 to 3 times a week. I can only do so much, right? You gotta be on top of it. If your son doesn't have it in him, the inner flame, you gotta be on top of him for this, especially the first couple of years, and I promise you then he'll be fine.
My son was at Mass for 8th and 9th grade, and of my 3 kids, as a mom, you can be honest, he's the brightest one, and I just saw him coasting because he had all his friends and he had his comfort zone at Mass, and I saw my daughter working so hard. And I said, and he even said, his college essay was about that, about waking up and becoming a good student and feeling motivated. And he says, I should have started earlier. And I think in part that has to do with Gables being surrounded by kids that are really working hard, because they have to really work hard. And also the sports teams. You think you're so great. You try out for a varsity team in a 5A school, wake up.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, somehow, these teachers are so nurturing. I swear I am PTA president because of you guys. Like, it's like taking a bottle of vitamins. Every time I leave Gables, I feel so motivated, and I love all the kids that I'm meeting. I love meeting the kids, like, right off the boat from Cuba. That's how I said it, because I grew up here in the 80s, like, right off the boat from Cuba. I love meeting those kids. They're just amazing. So, Anna.
You ever heard that maxim? Sorry, last thing. Show me who your friends are, and I'll show you who you are. There's an element of that in Gables for sure. Sorry to interrupt.
I don't feel unsafe in Gables at all. I'd have to say that there's really no difference in any school right now as far as safety.
Here's what happened. The stigma comes from, I believe it was 2006 or 7, right? There was a stabbing incident.
Yeah.
Okay, and that now, when that happened, it was our current principal's first year, and because of that, he had a mandate, honestly, to kind of, for the first time in the history of Gables, to kind of flood elements at the school that were like not really gangs at all, but like borderline. In their minds they think they are, right? Since then, we really haven't had any issues, and I you've got kids here that go to the school. I don't think they ever feel unsafe, honestly.
No, it's not.
But that's where it comes from.
Yeah, 2006.
And we haven't really had an incident like that since. And what she's kind of talking about, in the modern age today, I hate to bring up what happened in Broward, but that's one of the safest, Parkland's one of the safest communities in South Florida, okay? Stuff like that can happen anywhere. So, it's fortunate.
It's scary. Yeah, sobering.
We don't have metal detectors. We have 2 on-campus policemen at all times. And that's no, that would make it feel more like a. But we have certain entrances they can only come through, and every single morning we have our administrators and security guards checking and making sure that everybody is
they
there.
have IDs.
There's
you check in.
IDs.
You
There's a
wander
uniform
around.
policy. If you're out of uniform, that's obviously like, wait, who's this person? I'd say even 2 years ago, our old students could come and visit. That's a thing of the past. If you don't go to Gables anymore, you can't go. You can't even be in the building until school's out at 2:30, and that's because of the modern age we live in. So I'd argue that it is no less safe than any other school in the city.
I teach at a private school my first year when I was still even just getting certified, so I wasn't really a teacher. And they had different rules, so they were allowed to hire me, without being certified as a teacher yet. And when I left, I got a lot of questions from parents that I found pretty close-minded regarding safety, and what they really meant was a lot of those kids look different from mine.
Yeah.
And that is just something that I say, well, I feel bad for your child having to be so isolated and believe that the world is always going to look like them. And that's where a lot of the safety concerns come from, unfortunately.
Many teachers, it's mandatory to wear the ID in your class. If not, they don't let you into the class at all. And also the security guards, they're super on top of things. For example, we have one security guard.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
She will not let you in. She'll just give you a mandatory detention if you do not have your ID. And if it's not even you, she'll give you a detention. You cannot try to leave your way into the crowd. No, it's one door and one person every time.
It's just such a cult.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a hurricane about there was a meme about a hurricane, and it was there's a hurricane coming, and then it's her saying, and the ID.
It's so funny. It's ELID, ¿dónde está? The hurricane door. I mean, it's ridiculous.
But safety, I don't think I've ever felt unsafe.
Never.
I've never.
Running around always.
Thank you. Bye, thanks for coming.
Sorry, guys. Yeah.
And you're also in the city of Coral Gables, and a shout out to Mayor Valdez Valley, because he actually stood up and said, I do not have gun shows in my city. And so I do not allow them in my city. And he had to go to task against the governor, and he almost lost his position, and he stood his ground. So that says a lot for Coral Gables, you know. But I would also like to mention about Key Biscayne is that our, as Key Biscayne residents, you also should take advantage of the scholarships that the Key Biscayne Community Foundation offers you. Because they are very generous, as well as the community service hours. So you're actually double dipping here and in Coral Gables. So take advantage of that for sure, because you have two really amazing communities too.
Feeder school, if you're just coming in without the need of a magnet, you just come into the registrar and sign up.
Yeah.
They have to take you in and set up a schedule for your child, so same thing for you. That, there's an online application.
It's a magnet program.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you go to. You go to the, when you go to the portal of you know, the Miami-Dade County Public Schools portal.
Thanks.
You apply at the magnet. You click on the magnet tag, and you have all the magnets for everything in Miami-Dade. And so you pick what?
Five
Five or something. I would say be very careful when you click, because people have made that mistake and they've clicked the wrong.
And I think you
This
have until
this flyer says
January
Miami,
15th.
Yeah, January 15th.
MiamiMagnets.org. I don't know if that can help
Yeah.
you guys.
There you go.
So I think using this flyer, you can see, that'll begin the process. Yeah.
Some magnets require an audition. It require like New World, Dash. So
I know that Gables requires certain classes taken at the middle school level, like like earth, space, science, and algebra. Was it to get into
Geometry, physical science.
physical science and algebra at the middle school level to get into the IB program? That I know. Before 8th grade.
From what I understand, a lot of people get caught up in the grading. You know, why is your school an A, a B? When is it going to be an A? And you know what I found out? You know, the school is graded by the bottom 25%. We have a tremendous amount of students that are learning to speak English. We have 500 plus special needs kids.
Wow.
And if we're being judged by that and we're a B school, I embrace that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
You know?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Remember that all charter schools can make up their own rules to deny whatever kid they want.
That's right.
And then those kids will have to go to their feeder school. So, for what it's worth, we have
They're
any
not
kind
doing any better,
Yeah.
considering that they're allowed to.
given that charters can have that kind of ability to just deny, that means that they should be at an advantage, and yet they're not. You know, so it's a testament to the faculty that we have at Gables that we can maintain a B, given the massive population. IB and NAF and these AP kids definitely are not the majority of the kids at the school. All right.
Thanks, guys.
You guys are great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.